I am a whole fucking month and 2 weeks late. But I'm here, bitch! You can't get rid of me.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
Hi, hello, I'm Maria and welcome back to my channel. I was actually contemplating whether I should make this video, but here we are. I've made up my mind, there's no going back. May was, it just was. Work was like terrible for me, and I didn't read as many books as I wanted to read, and they kind of like fluctuated in genres and didn't make any sense. I started reading 2 books and kind of quickly abandoned them, and then I don't know. Let's just jump in. Let's just talk about the books I read in May. The first book I read is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and oh my god, we had such a strong start with this book. For those who are not well acquainted with what this book is about, Seven Husbands of Evelyn and Hugo tells a story of Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo, duh. And her story is being told by a journalist called Monique. Their lives become very interestingly intertwined as this huge legend, Evelyn Hugo, who's been known to be a bit of a recluse in the past couple of years since she's retired, has made this very strong decision that she wants Monique, who's not even that like successful and famous of a journalist, to write her story. And it's like, it tells the story about like her life and like inside scoops and things like the media couldn't really, didn't really know how to write or talk about. And it's a very beautiful book, and also it's set in old Hollywood. If you're into that thing, then this book is for you. I certainly, in the beginning when everybody was talking about this book, I didn't want to read it. I already knew what the whole main like plot was going to be, and I think that's what drove me to read this book eventually. Who's Evelyn's greatest love? And I was like, no, I'm going to stick to reading like romance novels. This book is certainly not for me. Like, I'm not a fiction gal. And then the funniest, most ironic thing that happened to me is that the greatest love story of all times, of all ages, is in a fiction book. Obviously, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I cried. I finished reading it during my break at work, and I was like misty-eyed. I don't like crying in public, so like if I was in the comfort of my own room, I would have definitely like just sobbed, like crying. I recommend it so much. And like Taylor, she's fantastic. I do have a tiny little constructive criticism, if you will, from one unpublished writer to a very successful writer. Taylor Jenkins Reid loves to tell what people were, and it feels very Wattpad-y to me, and I don't like it. Like, I have a problem with that. That's like my pet peeve when it comes to her writing. But overall, everything else is so great. The second book I read is I'll Meet You There by Heather Demetrios, and this is the second time I've read this book. First time I read this, it was summer, and it was, I think, 4 or 3 years ago. I can't do math. I don't know math. I'm sorry. But I think I was still in college, or I had just graduated from college. I'm gonna be 25 this year, so you do the math, okay? This book holds such a special place in my heart, and I think I am the person that I am today because of this book and the love story it depicts, I'm just like, I don't usually like young adult novels. This is definitely a young adult romance novel, but this is definitely a book that I loved, I enjoyed, and it still holds up. Like, what it's been like 4 years later, and it's just, I don't know, oh god, I love it so much. Basically, the story is about 2 people, Sky and Josh, and Sky has just graduated from high school and is so desperate to leave this little like town she's living. It's like in the middle of nowhere, and Josh is a soldier, and he has recently come back from Afghanistan, and he has lost his leg. And he used to be like this hot shot back in high school, and he's the most popular guy, and things happen, and it's very, I don't know, I loved it. I loved this book so much. When I was reading it, it really kind of teleported me to the time when I read it for the first time. And I could like feel like how just scorching hot it was. It was July, and I could just remember what I was wearing, and like I was in my room, and my bed was in the opposite corner of where it is now. And it's like, it just really teleported me to this time and a place where I was younger. I was like, you know, more doe-eyed and more like hopeful for what life, like the life that it's waiting for me out there. And I don't know, I just, it, I think I'm gonna carry this book in my heart for a very long time, and it's still one of my most favorite still this very day. Obviously, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, because what else would I give it? What else? Like, you want me to sit here and lie to you? No. No faults. No fucking faults. I loved it. The writing was perfect. I could go on and ramble about this on and on, on and on, on and on. I won't, because you need to read this book, because it's a beautiful book. And moving on to the third one. The third book I read in May is Horrid by Katrina, Leno. And yeah, I had to read that because I am illiterate. I don't have my little purse here to tell you the exact way this book made me feel. I love me a good horror. You know, I like to be scared. I like to be so fucking terrified that I'm literally on the brink of tears. Chills all over my body. I cannot sleep at night. Type of scared. Keeps the light on because something might be lurking in the corner type of scared. This book did not do that for me. I felt nothing. I was not scared. And maybe before we get into logistics, the reason for that was because this is indeed a young adult novel. And as you know or may not know, I am a full-fledged adult. Yes, I know, I do look 16.
Delusion. Convince yourself.
I expect my horrors to be very focused on the ambience and fear factor, and, you know, always just sort of waiting for something to happen, and it didn't. Nothing happened. To give you a perspective what I'm talking about, Horrid tells a story about a young girl whose name I did not remember, and her mother, whose name is Ruth. I remembered her name, and her dad died, so they're moving from California to Maine to live in her mother's old childhood home. And her mother hasn't been in this home for a very long time. Her own mother has died, so it's been completely abandoned, and everyone around our main character seems to know what the fuck is going on except for her, and they're keeping this this like public secret from her. And she's like, what, you all seem to know something, but I don't. And yeah, I read a couple of Goodreads reviews where they're like super impressed by this book, but I was not. I expected a lot more. I feel like there wasn't enough character development. I feel like there wasn't enough like scares. The ambient wasn't there. I couldn't imagine like where certain things are, and I did not know what a mudroom was. And there's just so much talk about this fucking mudroom, and I'm like, what the fuck is a mudroom? I legit thought it was like a sauna, and I was like, who's throwing rocks at a fucking sauna? There are no windows. Turns out it's like the hallway you walk in, like you first walk in when you walk into a house. I did not rate this book. I don't know what to rate it, because I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it, but also like I don't feel like it deserves 3 stars or 2 stars or 1 star. God forbid 5 stars, because it definitely doesn't deserve 5 stars from me. It's a no for me. But I do think it's a very good book to start out with if you want to dabble in horror, because it's not that scary, and the ending, at least for me, is I feel like I've been desensitized. I've digested so many scary stories over the years that I sort of like, I'm no longer moved by anything. Oh wait, not wrong. That's not true. I was traumatized by Behind Her Eyes, the fourth book I read. Drumroll, please. It's Daisy Johnson the Sixth. This is my second Taylor Jenkins Reid novel, and I bought it on sale, and I'm very happy I did. First of all, can we talk how the woman that's on the cover of the book looks freakishly like Dakota Johnson? Like, I am scared of how much she looks like her, to the point where I thought that was Dakota. Turns out it's not Dakota. It's like a photo on the internet. I was on a kick. I started reading Where the Crawdads Sing before I started this book, but I was on a rockstar kick because Eurovision just happened, and Maneskin won Eurovision, obviously, because rock isn't dead, and rock is like the coolest genre in the world. And I was on a rockstar kick. I hadn't listened properly to rock since I was in high school, since I was a wee little baby, and I was soaring, flying. There wasn't a star that could reach me, okay? Well, but I was like, I want to read about rock stars, okay? I'm in a kick. I want to read about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and this book, baby, had it all. It had the sex, not explicit. It had the drugs. It had the rock and roll. I want to listen to the fucking album, okay? I can't wait for the show to come out so they can actually like make the songs happen. That's my cat's tail. Please, no. I'm just so excited, okay? I am freaking excited for this show because the book is really good, and it's written in an interesting particular way that I haven't read a book being written that sort of way yet. And it was really fun. They say the audio book is even better, so I'm trying to get my hands on the audiobooks just so I can like experience that too. But oh my god, this book, man. Oh god. I hate that it took me so long to read it because I enjoyed every single bit of it. Like, I was like enthralled with this book. Like, Taylor Jenkins Reid does that. How come everybody who's named Taylor just delivers every time? Like, every single Taylor in this world, they exist and they're like, I deliver. I bring you what you want. You want it, you got it, okay? You're hungry, I'm here to serve you. Yeah, this book is just like, amazing. And to tell you what's amazing, it's about Daisy Jones, and she's this it girl in California, and she's a groupie, mainly a groupie, but really, really, really wants to be a musician and a songwriter because she's super talented and super beautiful. And like, parallel to her, we have this group called The Six, led by Billy Dunn, who is this rising rock star, and he has a bit of issues and stuff like that, and everybody else has, obviously, but like, their paths coincide and they meet and things happen, and it's amazing. And it's like, it's not as scandalous, at least for me, as you think it would be, because I thought it was going to be scandal upon scandal upon scandal. It turns out it's not that scandalous. And like, the ending obviously made me cry because it's a Taylor Jenkins Reid novel, and if Taylor does not make me cry, I don't know who else will. I cannot recommend this book enough. Like, you just have to read it. You have to experience the euphoria, the absolute euphoria I'm feeling right now as I'm talking to you about it, because it is beautiful. And last but not least, I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and boy oh boy was I disappointed. I feel like every time I try to read a thriller, it just disappoints me. Well, Behind Her Eyes didn't disappoint me, it just traumatized the fuck out of me. And I expected this. I expected this book to traumatize me, except it didn't, and I sort of kind of was able to see things you know, to predict what's gonna happen, but not completely. I was like, how funny this would be. I'm like, oh, it happened. Okay, it's not as funny. Basically, the premise is there are four perspectives that we are following the story through: the bride, the bridesmaid, the plus one, and the wedding planner. Oh, the wedding planner and the best man. So it's five. And basically, you follow them through the days when the wedding happens. You sort of get a glimpse of their lives before and after arriving here, and how like certain events led to do things, and how their lives are woved in together. And in the beginning, it started really slow. Then it just kind of, you know, got really interesting. And then I was just not interested. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not care about anybody. I was like, oh, who's gonna die? I hope everybody fucking does, because I don't care. But I feel like the ending was satisfying in a way. Like when you get there, you're like, yeah, they deserved it. So, yeah. That's my review on the books I read in May. I know it's a bit lackluster and all over the place, but if you just be gentle with me. I did not want to film this video today. I am too tired. Thank you for watching it and being here and supporting me in any ways you can. Social media links go here. Hopefully June will be a little bit more fun and less disappointing than May. Hope you have a great night, day, wherever you are, week, month. Happy Pride to everybody celebrating it, and everybody celebrating. It's not fucking Christmas. Happy Pride to those who celebrate it. She has risen, and I'll see you around.